Welcome to Don't Whistle at Night podcast, where Navajo legends echo in the shadows. Darren and Dawn will guide you through the sacred fire of native storytelling, where the old stories breathe, the unknown walks among us, and voices, long hidden, rise to be heard. And remember, don't whistle at night.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Don't Whistle at Night. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network. I'm your host, Don. 0.7 FM in New Orleans. I'm your host, Don Yazzie. With me, my co-host is Darren Yazzie. Today, we have a very special episode. Today, our guest is Randy Caveman Yazzie. But first, let's bring on the co-host right here.
Oh, hey, what's up, guys? What is going on, everybody? I hope you guys are ready for a very interesting episode. This Randy Caveman Yazzie, we met him out in the field this week. He had a lot of interesting, not even interesting stories. He had a very interesting life with these cryptic creatures, the paranormal, and his aspect on how he sees it and how he pursues stuff like it is very unique. It is a very unique guest on. And he'll match everyone else that we have on this podcast because he'll blend right in, and it really interesting man that we got to meet. One of the legends, the OGs out here of the cryptic world. Yeah, so let's get him on, man. Let's get it going. Let's roll.
All right, let's bring on the guest of honor. Without further ado, the man, myth, mystery. Here he is, Randy Caveman Yazzie. There he is.
Yazzie.
Oh,
Yazzie. Yazzie, Don Yazzie, Darren Yazzie, and when the Yazzies get together, there's bound to be trouble, right?
Oh yeah. We treat like rabbits. Sometimes it's not good to shake your hands. You might end up sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
whenever there's Yazzie, there'll be trouble for sure.
Yeah.
How you doing today,
there's
Randy?
a whole bunch together. There's a whole bunch together. Then there's a war party going on.
Yeah. So as long as there's no civil war, Yazzie versus Be Gay, we gotta be peaceful.
Just like they say, I don't want to be. This one guy says, I don't want to be a beat called Be Gay. He says, I said, what do you mean? Then he just looked at me and smiled and said, Be Gay. He says, and then like that, and I was like, oh, okay. So kind of corny, but that's what he said. And his last name was Big Gay, though. But my name is Randy Yazzie, and people call me the Caveman on the internet and around here. And I just went by that name for a long time. We were lifting weights, and one of my nephews said that, and it stuck from there on, the Caveman. And I guess I was grunting. You know how you grunt when you lift weights, and I guess I was doing that, and say, "Oh, you sound like a caveman." So that's how the name stuck after that. And I just lived. Well, I lived on the Arizona side, called Many Farms, Arizona, and I grew up there in my teenage years. But in my elementary years, I grew up in Hogback, or around Hogback. Also used to go to a boarding school called Nina Nazad Boarding School, and it was good. And I went from there in the boarding school from 3rd to 6th, and we went to many farms to my dad's side, my paternal side. All my maternal side is on this side, New Mexico. And I've lived here, or let me back up. At age 12, I left and went to my paternal side, and I grew up all the way up there, where I joined the military, went overseas.
Oh, it's kind of breaking up there.
Oh, we got. Oh no, the reservation internet, huh?
Yeah.
Randy. Okay.
I'd like to give him a. I had to give him a quick call real quick, and we can read the comments and we can go from there.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Wait. He's coming back through again. Okay. Oh,
and
Randy.
I came back to the New Mexico side.
Randy,
Hello.
We lost you for about a few minutes. Could you go back to where you joined the military? Hey, what's up, Avery? What's up, Dana Warrior? What's up, everybody?
Oh man.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Well, someone said have him over the phone. Should we just do that?
Yeah, we could do that too. Have him over the phone. I think that'll be a better choice.
Oh,
you think so?
Yeah, if the internet's gonna continue to do that, because right now it's pretty important conversation. He's a pretty special guest. This is one of the guys that we met firsthand. So, if we have to do it, we have to do it.
All right, then. I'll give him a call right now. Okay, hang on.
So, yeah, we got, for some of you guys that know, we actually got all together. We got the band together. We get a really good group of guys that we collected. It's a great.
All right,
it's a great motley crew of people. They're very special guys. And what we experienced, we all experienced together. And we were doing our documentary, and you'd be surprised, man. I was really surprised on how well it went, and the stories that we got and the footage that we got of this paranormal life that we live in on the reservation out here.
Hey, Randy, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Randy.
I can see you guys too.
Okay. You want to try it again? If we got a lag, I'll just call you and we'll just have you over the microphone. Then you can just talk. But we'll try this one more time. But we lost you right when you said you joined the military.
Yeah. What if I change positions out to my vehicle rather than being inside?
If the signal's good out there, yeah, by all means. Everybody out here wants to hear, your stories, hear about your life.
Yeah.
So,
if that's good for you, I'll be try it.
Let me try it right out here. Let me walk out.
All right.
Man, don't let the boogeyman get me.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't show us where you go Lizzie at. No, just kidding. What's up, everybody in the chat? What's up?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
We got the chat already busy.
Yeah.
One Coach Shell says first one here.
Yep.
Hazy Lyman, what's up, brother?
What's up, man? Lyman
says a lot about Caveman from William Buck. He was on Sasquatch Chronicles. Yep. Then we got Sunglass Grandma Cat Jay, excited too. Awesome. Give us a moment, guys. Let Randy get set. If this is not going to work, then I'll just call him and see if that's good. That'll be better. But we're gonna see. how perception is in this Lamborghini.
Okay. I got
Here
it.
you guys,
Lamborghini.
Batmobile.
Yeah.
Got out to my
Oh, we can't say Batmobile. Avery's in the chat. He's Batman. Oh,
Randy.
no.
Yeah, I think it's best to go to a phone call on this
Okay.
one.
All right.
So, yeah, like I was saying, we we did some footage, we did it live, and all the stuff that we talk about on this podcast is what we went through on this expedition, and it's real. It's hard to talk about with some people, but when you live through it and you live around it on a constant basis, you grew up it. Just like Randy Caveman Yazzie, we met up with him and we talked. We talked with him on the in the darkness out there, and we spent time during the first night out there and talked for 2 hours. It was a good 2 hours too. We learned a lot, and a lot of information this man has. And surprisingly, not surprisingly, at the when we were done, we automatically seen UFOs flying around.
All
Yeah.
right, Darren. We got Randy on the phone right now.
Okay.
We're gonna have him cook, guys. Okay, everybody. We're not gonna take any chat right now. We're just gonna let him cook right now. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. All right, Mr. Randy. You can start off when you said you joined the military.
From 1887 to 1991, and I came back to the New Mexico side, and I've been living on the New Mexico side, all this time. And I was, married, and now I'm widowed, and I'm out here by myself, and I'm out here by myself, and all these things that have happened to me, I just kept it in my mind. Some of them I didn't try to forget. Some I tried to do things that are, try to explain it. But these things have happened to me, and all of these things that I talk about is all from the Navajo perspective. And I just wanted to relay that for all the people that are listening out there. I don't talk about Christianity, Buddhism, Confucianism, Islam, or anything like that. I don't talk about things like that because I don't know anything about them. And I only talk from the Navajo traditional culture, the heritage that I was brought up. That's how I see the world. I may lack in technology, maybe mind like old fashioned, and all of that. That's me. But I've worked all over the United States as either a roustabout, um, an electrician, or equipment operator. Anything that moves, I try to operate. That's how I was. And I've also been in the trenches, just like the military. I've been in the trenches, digging it out, doing labor work. And then in sports, basketball, cross country. In fact, in cross country, and when I was growing up, my time for 1 mile run was 4 minutes 30 seconds, and I came in second when they tested me in boot camp. So there's somebody else faster than me. You guys still out there?
Yeah, we're just listening.
Can't to myself.
No, we're here.
Yeah.
It's just like that. You're good at it. In fact, I had, all through high school, I picked up the MVP trophy for the school, even though I was only 5'7". And, it was good. It was really athletic, very fast. Speedy Gonzalez, Superman, Flash, they would all be jealous of me. That's what I used to, say about myself. Just kidding, So just kidding myself. I was fast. I was out there with, my people I competed against and people I went to school with and all of that. And I used to pride myself on that. Hey, I used to run fast. And my brother used to say, if Randy goes in there, we all know who's going to win. So, why be a spectator, he would say. Laugh about it. And that's who I was, or that's who I am. And through all this that I was going through, my first time, I would say it would be my first time. Some were 72, 73, we're about 5 or 6 years old. Myself and my older sister and my younger brother, we were playing around in the house. And there was a house. It was a house that was adjacent and to each other, and there was the living room, and then there was the kitchen. And we were running back and forth, and all of a sudden, my younger brother just stopped and started crying, wailing out, "What?" Pointing at the window on top of the kitchen sink, and myself and my older sister, we stopped, put our hands on the kitchen sink, and looked back at him, and he was pointing at it, really crying. And so we looked at the window, and we saw a real big eyeball looking at us, and we just trying to contemplate, I guess, looking at it, and we were like, "What's that?" And behind there, it's just like the moon now, just now coming out, and here there was a figure there. I could see the kind of like the side of the kind of like the left side of face, which was dark, and there was a long shadow coming from that face. And so it just, my sister and I, we just looked at it, and we kept asking each other, "What is that? What is that?" And then my sister says, "It's an elephant," she says. And so, from that time on, I always thought, I'm the one that's seen an elephant on the reservation, Navajo reservation, with my sister and my younger brother. And it turns out afterwards, this is when I came back from the military service, that, medicine man, one of those seers, those hand tremblers, they told us that it wasn't an elephant. It was some big creature that was sitting at the window looking at us with its hand all the way across the window, like just holding on to the edge of another side where it was, forward. And it just so happened it was like that. And the moonlight, the moonlight was the one that created that image of being a trunk. So I just thought that I'd seen an elephant on the reservation. That was my very first encounter. I didn't know what it was. And then from there on, it was like here and there, near misses or something like that, you would say. Because myself, like I said, my paternal side is on the Arizona side, and my maternal side is on the New Mexico side. So when we came back, we used to live in a little hogan, which, for the people that are listening, a hogan is a round house that looks like one of those yurts that other countries use. It's called a yurt or yurt. It's like that, but it's made out of stone or wood, and we used to live in that. And we had a small door that you could just kind of like, even at 5, 6 years old, you could kind of dip your head and walk through it, and that was the doorway. And we used that. In other words, we lived in it. And late at night, the door would open, take real slowly to open. I'd say about maybe a foot, and it would just stay there. Myself and my younger brother, we'd run over there and try and close it. Just really try and push it. These two young boys would try and close the door to it. And here, we never did. Until one of my oldest brother, he would be doing his homework under a kerosene lamp, and the other one would be reading an Archie's book on the side on the bed. And one of those guys, older brothers, when they moved, the door closed. We slammed it shut, and we were all proud of it. And then they would say, "Okay, now nail it back in." But nail it back in. What lock it back up meant was picking up a hammer and hammering the nail that was on the 2x4 block the doorway. And that was the only thing that was like a doorknob and also a lock. And that was that for when I was growing. And later on, I was put at the boarding school, and my brother, my young brother, I had nightmares. For some reason, the deer was breathing on me. I used to be scared of it. That's how my nightmares were. This deer just walked up to me and started breathing on me. My younger brother, in the morning time, would wake up outside under the tree that we had right in front, kind of like a little ways from the hogan. We call it the hogan. And it's from the word Navajo word hogan. So from that hogan, it was about probably 10 feet. He would wake up there, and he thought he was sleepwalking all this time. And we would just play around. We didn't think anything of it. I had nightmares at night. He was sleepwalking. That was it. And it was just, cool. We were growing up, little kids. Then we were put into boarding school. Boarding school wasn't safe also, because late at night, something would be looking at us through the window, and then people would say, "Hey, there's a person out there wearing a mask trying to scare us. So just go to bed." And that was it. And we would hear like footsteps, something running across on top of the dormitories that were there. So I just would think about that. For me, I thought, it was some little kid just playing around. But when we also wanted to scare ourselves, we would look out the window, which was kind of forest area, and apple orchards and apricots and all of that. They were growing. This guy was growing.
We ourselves, we were stealing those apricots and apples also. But at late at night, through the street lights that we kind of like observed in, we would see this one guy that was huge, almost as tall as the apple trees, walking around out there. And some guys, they would say, yeah, that's my brother, don't mess around with me because I'm going to send him on you. And things like that. And everybody didn't mess around with him. So you would see that. And in the morning times, we would see like apples piled up on the steps of those dormitories. And all neatly, all piled up like in a little pyramid kind of thing. And just see that. And we would just go through, the man outside. It was just some man walking around, but we had security. Security was smaller than us, and we were like maybe 4'9" or something like that. Security was real small. Security officer that was there, and he would always say, "Just get to bed." That was it. So I guess he didn't see anything, or he never said anything about it. But for us boys, young boys that were in boarding school, we seen this guy that used to walk around, and people would try to name it. What's his name? It was like maybe Billy or Kevin or Buddy or something like that. And said, "Hey," and for us Navajos, calls attention. We just say, "Shh," and then we look far away. Then we close the window. And I was that Billy looked at me, or something like that. What was it? And we went on our way and did our own stuff. And we thought, for me, I thought it was, just a man, just a common man. Because so I was told when I was reprimanded by either my aunt, my mom, my uncles, or anything like that, that would be given to somebody else that lived off the reservation, or would be just sent away, live somewhere else as to where I'm not Navajo no more. And that used to scare me. And was it. That was, my reprimand. I really don't know what the other people thought of, but for me, I was like that. I behaved in a good manner when my aunts, my uncles, certain ones were around. And when I started to go out, it was just from the boarding school, I moved, like I said, moved all the way to the mini farms, Arizona side. And we had an adventure on that side. And just on that side, something would open the door on me while I was watching TV. And I was watching the TV, that 6-inch black and white TV that you had to fold down on, and now it looks like D2's brother, that were or whatever, and it folded into a little transformer thingy. Anyways, they did like that and put it in two ways. That was like that, and something would open the door on me because the outlet was right by the door, and the TV just so happens to get plugged in there, and then you just sit by the door. And so the door would open, I'd say about maybe 8 inches, and then you look up, and you'd see just the glistening of the eyes, and it's kind of like a rubber would smell, and it would come in. Then one night, The dog, I guess, got his foot. I got into a fight right there, and I fell over backwards, and so I seen when it almost ran inside the house with me, but I seen like the what do you call it? The hair coming off of its arm, and I just kind of like had a quick look at it as it swung door inwards, and it closed it like real fast, and then it got into a fight with the dog that my friend had brought recently, and it was a good watchdog, I guess, and so I got it. They all fought inside there was like a little addition that was there, and it took off. All I heard was that was all the chaos broke out, and it ran out. And I had also gotten back up, swung the door open, and went out the addition door, looked, and there was in the faint light from the street lights, I could see this black figure just going away towards the wash. There's a wash from Chinley all the way to Round Rock that goes through mini farms on the east side. And here it went that way towards the east, and it just jumped down. At the same time, there was a whole bunch, I'd say there was a lot of dogs, about 50 of them that just ran past my house and went to where thing was. So they just stood on top barking from there. That black thing just just jumped off that shit. It was like 10 feet, something like that. And I believe it just jumped off because it just disappeared there. Dogs didn't want to jump down. And that was, one of the first encounters that I had over there. And after that, we would just mind our own business. There was a guy that used to come in from, he used to live way in the boonies from mini farms. And he used to come in for the week, a young boy about my age, they were both 15, 16, something like that. And here, he would always roll out his bed also inside that cabin that we had. And he would lay towards the window. And then one time I would just mind my own business and just do my homework from school. And from there, he said, "Hey, there's somebody looking at us through the window. Somebody keeps dropping their head out. I think it's your cousin," he says. I said, "Oh." And then we had a cousin. We had a cousin named Obi. He used to scare people and, that did some funny stuff, pranks and all of that. Anyways, he says, "That's probably him." I said, "Okay." So I'd say about 2 more days passed, and it kept on doing it. And we didn't have no curtain. And he would lay there, and he says, "That guy's back." He says, "Obi's back." He says, I'd say, "Okay." And then that time I said, "Okay, just slowly put on your shoes. Get as comfortable as you can. Even put on your socks or something like that." I said, "I will put on my shoes real fast, and we'll run out the front door. You go to the left, and I go to the right, and we'll catch it. We'll catch who's looking at us through the window." So tell me when he's looking in again. I said, and he says, "Okay." And he's looking that way. He's not even scared that there's something that's looking through the window. We thought it was a gorilla mask. And he says, "Oh, there it is again." It's like, ready, 1, 2, 3, and then we took off. Out, first door, out the addition door, and he went left, I went right. And we met up on the north side of the house. And usually a Navajo house is there's always opening is towards the east. And I was like I said, I was real fast, so I was fast myself for going to the right and going all the way around majority of the house. Well, he ran just a little ways. When we got there, we see nobody there. And we would hear footsteps going towards the northwest of our residence. And we were wondering why we would be running towards not the northwest, the northeast. We would wonder why he would be running that way when his house is on the west side of us, about maybe an eighth of a mile, or all the lit area, laughing or whatever he, think he's trying to do on us. But we would always do it. We will always. That one time we tried to capture him, and we never did. And we just looked after him and just kind of wondered, what's going on. And that was it. That was another thing. But at this time, I've always thought that it was just a man, somebody playing a prank. That's it. Shadow. You didn't really see it, and I know all of that. So in my teenage years, also, I came back. Or myself, I came back to the New Mexico side with, I started to play with my siblings with a game called Kick the Can. If you know about it, then you know how it's played. And you play, you hide. It's just like hide and seek. The guy would only go just a little ways, and then you place a can right where it's lit. So when you run in and you kick that can before that guy that's guarding it, you're safe. But if not, then you're out. You don't get to play the next game. So we would do that, and it would be in the dark at night. That's what that's when we played. And there's always this guy that came around, this young itty bitty guy that was real fast, that would come to play with us. And he would grab you on the backside and kind of shake you. And then you say, leave me alone. Oh, it's you again, you stinky guy. Why don't you take a shower? So we did that, and we would say that to him. And he would run in between any obstruction fast. And, which pride in us too, we can play with that little kid. He's as fast as us. So we just let him play. He would follow me, have me on my back, and tell him, hey, get away, in Navajo, not yet. And I'll be wanting to run to another obstruction, along with that, weeds or whatever, brush, and we would, he would follow. He knew how to hide. And whenever that guard or the can would turn our way, wherever he's running, he will just pluck down. And then that guard would just maybe scan the area. And then he would take off again and the guard goes the other way again. And that's what he used to do. And we used to giggle about that. There's just something to see. He would just run and then plop. And that's it. And then lay still. He wouldn't even be seen. And then when the guard goes the other way, he'd take off again. And that's what we liked about him. And we just used to play with him. About 3 times we did that, and then that was it. But he never went in. Whenever when the game was over, or it's time to reset or something like that, he never came in. He always stayed way back there. Well, I'm talking about the play area was probably like 50 from 20 to 100 feet. That was the playing area, and then the can was at 0 position, and he never came in. And we would try to tell him, "Hey, come on in, let's," because we wanted to see him, but close observation that I made looking at him when he was sitting beside me, he looked like another little kid. He was wearing a big furry jacket in the middle of summer. I never did put one and one together. And I was just looking, why, it's hot out here. Why is he wearing a jacket? And then people would make their own assumptions, and maybe, when his mother or father start to look for him, he's already going to be warm, or he knows his way home. Whose family is he from? That was the question too. And then we would just all kind of like look around and say, it's probably them guys that were living west of us, because that was a new family that came in, and we just did that. We just made assumptions where he came from and why he was wearing a thick jacket in the middle of summer. And we just played with him. Maybe him, or maybe it might have been a her. I don't know. But we just played with that little figure. And he kind of smelled. He smelled like we say, conge, not roadkill like the bigger ones do, but it just smelled like conge. Conge means like garlic smelling. And that's what he smelled like. That was it. And here, we were just trying to tell him to come in. It didn't. And then all of a sudden, when we were done playing, we say, we're done playing, and everybody starts going inside. He would disappear just like that. Just snap of a finger. He would disappear. And that was odd. We've never seen anything like that. And then I had forgotten about this story, because it didn't really matter to me. That's when I was in my teenage years. One of my younger brothers says, "Hey, how about that guy, that young fellow that we used to play with?" Oh, you think it was a Bigfoot? Maybe a child. Maybe the mother was just sitting by right behind a broken down vehicle over there, looking at us while we're playing with it. That guy had that little man, or little boy, had a hell of a time playing with us, because that would be about maybe 10 or 15 of us just running back and forth, running around. And he was among us. He was a little bit smaller. I was probably like maybe 5 foot at the time, and it would be somewhere around 4'8", something like that. And he would just have a hell of a time with us. So when it was time to go in, he would disappear. And we would always wonder where that little boy was from. What's its name? I don't know. He would just, say, "What is it? Did he say anything?" "Yeah. What did he say?" And then people would just laugh about it. I think he has a list, we would say. And, come up with all kinds of assumptions that we came up with as young kids. And he didn't talk right. He's one of those people that have real nasty tongues that we with. That's what we used to say. It's so we say that, and so was it. And so, you guys got any questions? I'm just going on and on.
Oh yeah. Sorry. We do have quite a few questions from the chat. Hang on one second here. I think people will they just want to hear about their favorite story, including mine, about the Cookie Monster and the Bigfoot laughing when someone fell off a horse. And we also have a question that's from Navajo Ace, said, has Randy found any Bigfoot scat? And there's another one right here. Let's see here. I think that's it, huh? Those are the questions. I think I might be missing another question. Avery said he's happy you're here, and he's sad that we all didn't meet up. Next time, Avery. And what's up, Lee and everybody? But yeah, those are the questions. But yeah, do you mind answering those questions?
Everybody had that. Everybody had to bring in some tablet for the skin. 2 times they did. One was on San Juan River, and it was all curled up like real big snake.
Jeez.
And it was all piled up. Just big curl. And that, it was odd.
Is she?
And I don't know what a horse manure looks like, that little pebble biscuit looking thingies, and then the cow manure, deer, and all of that. I know what it likes, what it's like. No Navajo will take a crap that big. That's what it's. And that I had put that in plastic, and I thought it was going to stay together. Once it dried, it just all crumbled.
Jeez.
And a whole bunch of what do you call it? Corn and leaves and all of that. Some of those, got exposed. The rest, like just all third whole item. What was the other question?
About the Cookie Monster and the Bigfoot that laughed when someone fell off a horse from Carla, Washington.
Oh, okay. It's just 10 years ago. This thing was. Well, let me pick. This Navajo cowboy, was herding his sheep back towards his house in the afternoon. And at first he noticed that there was a thud behind him. And then another thud, but his horse kind of got skimpy. And then he seen the one in front of him, and there was maybe 10-inch rocks. They were big. Like he motioned. This was the guy. He says that it was that big. He says 10-inch. And he kind of scanned the side to his right. And he kept throwing rocks. Bigfoot kept throwing rocks. And the horse was skipper, just kind of like up to hill. The cowboy fell off. And he started laughing. Oh. Then I keep on doing it. And laughed. And he got back on his horse, yelled at that Bigfoot, "Don't bother me, not bothering you." But they kept throwing rocks, and every time the horse kind of bucked, Bigfoot just go, just standing from way on top of the cliff. And I'd say maybe 200 feet or something. I hurl those real boulders, I guess, real big stones. 10-inch at him. That's what he laughed. So that was that. And that's when then that guy says, they can laugh. I said, oh, well, they have a mouth. Just like us saying, when somebody tells us to shut up, we say, then why are we born with a mouth? So it's just kind of like that concept. He couldn't believe it that the Bigfoot will laugh. And he was looking at him, laughing. He would raise his head and laugh, put out a mellow laugh. So that was that. But that's the one that the guy fell off his horse. And the other one is I used to work in this place called Scenot's, New Mexico. And it was a boarding school that was being demolished, and they wanted a security officer out there that would look over the place, that wouldn't, no crowd control, and also just keep the place quiet. And that was it. So I volunteered, and they sent me out there. Because Sonosti is just like the base of a mountain. And I just started to patrol. They gave me a 4x4 truck. And they gave me a security uniform. I was ready to come up there. Couldn't have no gun, nothing like that. Anyways, I was doing it for a week. And here I would get all different kinds of visitors, young guys, some people, they had like put up gang signs towards me, and I just waved. And older folks that want to get water from here, I left them alone. I'm not taking care of the whole, the business of the BIA school. Well, BIA stands for Bureau of Indian Affairs. Anyways, they would go about their business. I went about my business. I would arrive there before the sun set. 2 fingers up, I always say. And which is, different in summertime and wintertime. So anyways, they're going about their business, and they would visit for a while or something like that, call me over, what are you doing? And I would just tell them I'm only taking care of these toxic asbestos piles that are, have been demolished. We've been exposed to all of that, in all boarding schools. There was asbestos, and they're trying to take care of it. They ate it. That's what I said. Now I would tell them that. And they say, okay, can I take this? And I said, no, you can't take things from me. And some will go away mad. Some of the other ones I tell them, yeah, go ahead and take it. And then 5 years down the line, you'll be coughing up blood from the asbestos. So that, then they would just throw it back. And that was it. And so anyways, I was patrolling. And somehow I was patrolling that one night counterclockwise around the asbestos piles, which was what maybe altogether would be about 700 feet round. And that's what I would patrol, because that's in between all of that. There's asbestos piles. I would spotlight through, and I spotlighted here and there. All of a sudden, that one particular time, I went around with this real big structure, like the propane bottle that was there, and then I appeared. And all of a sudden, there was a straight beam of light that came down from the mountain. And I looked over there, and then just like, you know how the Predator beam is? It was like that, but it was real bright. It came down and it was zipped back. Then I was looking up there, and then I started to look. When I looked up there in my binoculars, that's when I seen the faint light was out there. And it was kind of like yellowish to orange, this color that pulsed. So I was thinking about it. You know, somebody had built a fire, because that's the color of fire, and it's probably just kind of over the ridge, the way at the edge right there. So somebody did, and I could see it, and that was it. And then somewhere right there, I picked up a nail, and we went. I went back. I started to hear the tire hiss, and so I kind of quickly went towards the maintenance building that they had for the BIA there, and I went and parked under the bright light, and there was an orange light that was from the north. There's that bright light from the east, and then there's the street light that's right there, all kind of like lights up the whole area. That's why I parked right there, because I didn't want nobody to sneak up on me or anything. And I jacked up the truck and changed the tire. That was it, and put the tire back on, and I was good to go. Then I thought, oh, I forgot the cap to the 4x4 thingy, the 4x4 cap. And just when I got up and turned, I heard the gravel go, and looked that way. It was this huge, hairy thing that kicked off from behind the building. And I just was standing there, holding on to the side mirror, passenger side, just holding it. And it only took about 3 steps to go, maybe, I don't know how many, 30, 40 feet. Because from where the building, where it took off to where it went behind another building, that was the distance. And the two structures, it only took about 3 steps. And it ran behind it. And I didn't know what it was. And it also, like I said, it had a bigger stomach. Big stomach, not really, like it's like a woman's stomach. But it was just, big. And then everything was big on it. And it kind of looked to the side, looked at me as it was running maybe on the second step, third step, and then it was gone. And so I didn't recognize it. What is that? And it was like when you go to the casino and you push the button, and those what do you call it, the machines, they go blah, 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 and all of that goes up and down and all that. My eyes were like that. I always describe it like that. My eyes were like that. But then I didn't know what it was, because a bear will wobble. Chayo, the Yanny is not that big also. That's what I was thinking. And I just looked at it and didn't know what afterwards. I'd say about a few seconds, 15 seconds, but still looking where it went. There's a tingly feeling that came from the bottom of my feet all the way through. I shivered when it was at my body, and then it went pop way on top of my head. And I thought, oh, is that monster? So I ran inside the maintenance building, called the police, and I said, hey, there's the boogeyman out here, trying to scare me or eat me. There's a boogeyman around. I told the police, and then the police, the dispatcher goes, we'll send somebody out there. In fact, there's one that's near there. And so I said, okay, I'll just wait. Sure enough, 30 minutes later, I could see a real fast car coming with its red and blue lights, and I knew it was the cop. So he came up to me. I flashed my spotlight at him, and he came in. And he says, "Where is it?" And I said, "I ran behind that building where you came from." I said, "You should have told me it came from and went through there." I said, "I didn't want to." And then he says, "Okay, let's look for it." He says, "Let's chase it away." And he tells me, "You go back out that way where it ran. You go back this south side and spotlight around." I said, "Hey, man, I called you over here because you have a gun, and what if that thing attacks me?" And he just kind of looked at me like, "Oh, you stupid." And he just went on his way, and I went through there. I was really spotlighting around. And the BIA security, there's a BIA security there too. I don't know where he was at when this thing ran through, but he came around. He came up to me and he asked me, "What are you guys looking for?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I saw this real big hairy creature, and I described it. It ran through here, and I wanted away from all of this." And then he says, "Well, let him go into the asbestos pile." He says he'll die from it. And I said, "Well, no. My boss sees somebody that crawled through there, then my job is on the line." I said, and he kind of just chuckled about it. And then we all kind of started roving around right there. And we all met up way at the northwest corner at that BIA fencing. Because the BIA fencing covers, just about everything. And it's chain link fence. And we were looking at it. We were looking at the tracks, and it had like 14 to 16-inch track because the cop took a picture of it and put his tape measure on there. Did that. And took a picture and went about we're all like, wow, it's like, okay, and that was it. And here, this old man, he's, a local. I guess he kind of saw the lights all in one area, and then he decided, he started getting curious. So he went over there to where we were at. He says, "What are you guys looking at?" And he says, "Oh," he said, "we're looking at tracks." "Oh," he says, "but," he says, like, "I don't like it. I don't like the situation." He just said that. And then asked, "Why?" He says, he comes down, he pointed towards the north, one of the mountains that pointed out. "I live over there," he says. "That thing comes down off the mountains in the evening, and it makes its way all just when the sun sets on the horizon. It gets to my house, and it grabs about 3 or 4 lambs, and then it takes off and steals from me," he says. And then, so one day I thought, okay, I want to sit out there and I want to shoot it. And it always does that during lambing season, he says. So I sat out there, and sure enough, I saw it way coming down. I could see the dirt trail first, and then coming off the mountain, then kept coming closer. I didn't see the figure until, it came up over one of the hills. And it kept coming closer and closer. First it was running, he says. It was running. I was running like a gorilla, he says. Really, really fast. "That guy is fast," he says. And from there on, the closer it got on all fours. I think it was hiding from me, he says. "I don't know if it saw me," he says. And it got on all fours. By the time it got to my sheep corral, it was on all fours and all of a sudden, real fast, it stuck its arm over the corral and brought a lamb out. And I shot right there. I think I shot its arm. And it just took off. And it started running. I was waiting for it to get in the clear. So when that happened, I started shooting with my 22 automatic. He said, "Oh, oh, oh." And this guy would just go, it would start, it had a lamb on his right side, and it would just like, when every time I shot him, he would just kind of make that motion like he got shot and just go, like that. And they kept running, and it went behind the hill, and I couldn't shoot no more. And then it got quiet. And then the cop says, "Oh, so what kind of rifle did you shoot it with?" And he says, "My 22." He says, everybody said, all you did was tickle it. The cops. So, and then that was it. And so we were laughing about it. But I shot it, he says. After that, it didn't come around no more, he says. And then he was there looking on the ground again, like, we're still fascinated by the footprint. And we looked on the ground with spotlight, all the lights were right there on that one particular footprint, because it ran in, and it kind of like made, you know how when you climb a fence, you shift your feet. It made that mark. So we were looking at it, and we just what do you call it? We just were amazed. Like I said, we're amazed by it. Just kept looking at it, and then the cop says, "Let me tell you guys a story." He says, "I was on my way, just like where I was at when this guy called me." He says to me, and so he just I was going home. I was getting off my ship. And it's this time too, almost 12 or like 2, somewhere around there. I don't really remember. I was going home. So all of a sudden, heard over the dispatcher, over the air, said, "Unit so and so, you go to Oak Springs. That's right by the Chuska Mountains, and that's where he up front." He says, and I was going home, and before you clock out, make sure you go check it out. And he says, "Stand for it." And I went further. He says, "How I was going, and I was wondering. I knew there was a revival in the area. Revival there, what's going on. You can hear they were doing that, and then I was coming in, and they said, 10 for what's the situation?" I said, and they said, the dispatcher says they reported a boogeyman out there, and they just I guess that's when they reported that, and then after they hung up, they did their thing. So he said, as I was coming in, he said there was some vehicles, 3 vehicles coming towards me. And before it got to me, I'd say about maybe 50 feet, I turned on my police lights, the red and blue. So they call them code lights. And I turned it on just to let them know it was the police. And then that's when they flickered their light. They rolled up beside me. And I was facing north, and they were facing south. This was, I guess, right before the revival tent, he says. And they said, "What are you guys doing?" I guess the driver had his rifle right by the door, holding on to it, holding the other one with on the steering wheel. And then his passengers also had weapons too. They all had rifles sticking up. And then in the back, there was people that had assault rifles and old rifles also standing up in the vehicle with it. Then I told them, "Oh, I'm going to the church, and where you guys are doing you guys are coming from the revival, right?" And then they said, "Yeah, we're doing the revival, and we'll tell you when we get back." And I went forward slowly, he says, and then the second vehicle is the same. Oh, militia up, all the rifles and all that, people standing in the back with rifles, all that, one with a machete. And the third vehicle, there were even kids with rifles, he says. And I rolled by. Then I turned on my spotlight. We're usually right by the driver's side door. So he turned it on, and I let it beam way up ahead of me. And then also to show that, this is here, and the hero, like that. And then he, I guess when he drove in, the other ones had turned around. They followed him in, and then the event supervisor and all those people with guns, they all came up to him. And they were like, "Oh, this happened, this happened." And the guy says, "Oh, I was looking around. I looked towards the tent. There was a sign right there. There's a real big sign, Revival, God's Army." And I looked at it, and man, this is God's Army with all these rifles. And they worship while they're holding on to their rifles. What I thought, he says. But the main event supervisor, I guess he says, "Okay, let me tell you," and he kind of brings him into the tent, that real big blue and white tent that was out there, and kind of brought the police in there. And he says, "Well, this is what happened. This is our last day of revival and last day of worshiping, and we wanted to go out with a bang. So we were really getting down, doing riffs on the on guitar, and the drum was really going fast. Really added just that sound that was there. Here there was a whole bunch of women that fogged the front seats. Three lanes of it, like they fogged the first chairs sitting in front, and I was kind of like in the back. He says, and here, just when we were going, the ladies in front all jumped up. Hallelujah! Just then, a real big black figure came in from the south of that tent, grabbed a cookie, a whole bunch of cookies, and what do you call it? Bucket of cookies, and then it ran out the other way. He says, everybody fell over. The band members fell back. All the ladies that were up front fell back. We never even finished saying hallelujah. And that was it. Everybody was mad. He says, whoever it was, it stole our cookies. We were supposed to have cookies afterwards. All of this kind of like fellowship for a little while and go home. License. I don't know. when was this? It's, well, maybe 45 minutes to an hour now. Okay, he says, well, maybe whoever did it is down in the canyon somewhere eating cookies all by himself. So that was the thing, that happened. That the cop was telling us, and he always used to giggle about it afterwards. After this, what we came upon, but that time we all left. And it was the end of my shift, so I told the BIA security, have at it. Then he says, "Well, for us over here, we always, see that thing. It's tall, yes, and it always looks at the women through the top from a real small slit, because that's how BIA houses are. They have that little slit of 2 by 16 slit of vent way up on top. Something looks in from there. That's what these women report while they're taking a shower in there. And then he's doing. Pop says, "Oh, that's probably you standing on your unit." He says. So we just laughed it off, and that was it. And like, damn, okay. And then, we all went, and then we all shared our stories, and then we left. That's the cookie story. So if you think about it, it's why would this thing, it must have been sitting there waiting for a distraction, because that's what they do. They wait for you to get distracted, then take off or disappear. And it did that while everybody went, hallelujah. It ran through, picked up the cookies, and then went out the other door, other flat. So that's what they do. They do. They wait for distractions. They wait for you to look away, and they make a move. So that's one thing that people out here, the ones that are listening, be aware of it. If you lock eyes with them, then people there, you're going to be the one that keep your eyes on, because the more you move, the more it's going to move. Either it's going to wait for you to move forward or backwards. If you move backwards, it's going to kind of like relax, but it's going to still hunch over like it's going to take off. That's the thing. That's what it does. As I've noticed through all my years, you lock eyes with it, keep it there. You're the one that's going to get scared, and you're the one that's going to be like running. But stupid me, I lock eyes with it, and I just say, you know in Navajo that means what the hell, And then also I call it the human growl. Means, that everybody has their growls. All these animals. And then like my old grandpa says, we're part of those animals. So within that sense, I myself say that. And you say that to a child too, they're gonna disappear. They're gonna walk away from you, no matter if they're crying way out loud. You say, then they're gonna walk away. That's the human growl, I call it. Or things like for me, when I want location, I say, Hootie. Then anybody like my horses, donkey, all my animals, they know that. Then they run towards where the sound came from, or they just start running home. I say that, and they're all like, even my dogs and my cats. When you're like, I'm like walking around outside, and then my cats are all outside. Say, oh. You know how cats are with their tail straight up in the air, just zooming back in the house.
Yeah.
So that's my like, hey, what the hell, also. And then things like that. I picked, but that's that I guess the moral of what the Cookie Monster story is about. But
It's a good story.
it's like that, and then go back. It's like we used to terrorize. Like I said, we used to terrorize mini farms as young kids. And myself, my older brothers, terrorize. Get in the way of people living good or sitting outside, throw dirt at them or something like that. They were awful. And here, late at night, when we used to sleep in the shade harbor house, and that was called Chop. We used to sleep in there's a square one, and it had those skinny BIA beds with bedrolls. And at that time, there were a lot of them. I guess they're throwing it out. Some people just pick them up. And we used to sleep on them. And here late at night, this guy, I would say, come in. And the entrance to that harbor house is usually somewhere around 6 feet, something like that. This thing was taller. It would dip down and walk in. And as it walked in, it would make a left right away towards the park. And then go to the darkest area where there's either one of my cousin brothers or my brother, one of those guys that they lived back there. And here they would start talking to them. Oh, hey, your mouth smells like crap. Stuff like that. And they just maybe slap it on the hand or something like that. I just here I have my eyes closed. I just see it come in, kind of real in slant eyes. Come in. It comes as it comes in. And we usually have like a plyboard covering the doorway, and people say that keeps the dogs out. So anyway, it opens that and goes to the first person, and it goes to the next person. And the next person says, "Wet your mouth stinks," he says. "Don't brush your teeth first." And stuff like, "Don't, don't." And then the people would say that they all have all kinds of stuff to say. But when it came to me, what it did was it just straight up stuck. It's either finger or fingernail. I don't know which one it was. Just stuck it up my nose. I said, "Oh, don't." And I kind of like looked at it, and there's this guy with real big hairy metal rocking guy that looked like that, just sitting at me with the eyes glistening, looking at me from about maybe 16 inches away, just looking at me, breathing on me. I said, brush your teeth. I said, and then it would massage the side of my face. Real slowly, just massage it, just touch it. And then through my hair, I had like kind of like longer hair than right now in my picture. I had longer hair. and we just kind of like just look at each other, just faintly. We'll just look up. I know there's somebody's big nog right there, and it'll breathe on me. And then how it breathed was. Didn't do any. I mean, didn't mind breathing on you. It tastes. I mean, it smelled like. So you didn't brush your teeth and you needed to floss or something like that. And it was like that. And all of a sudden, I slapped its hand. Then it got up real fast. Then it walked out. And somebody else yells out, "Close the door," he says. And that guy, whatever it was, real big thing, who just walks out, just keeps on walking, disappears into the night. And then somebody else gets up high. He says, meaning no good man. Just left the door open. Now I have to get up and close it. Slide that plywood back in place. It would visit us like that. You know, on occasions it would visit us. We never knew who it was. Like that. Also, you know, it had like a hairy jacket. People used to say, when's that guy with the hairy jacket gonna come around again? I don't know why. You know, we just said that. We didn't know it was Bigfoot until I saw it. That's a nasty. That's who they are, how they are. So that came about. And it's just how I found out they were Bigfoot. So that came around, you know.
Yeah, we got a question here from a teammate, the Net Warrior 505. He asked, let me see really quick. He said, does the eye change color in their mood in all or different species or tribes? And he said, is it just a species or a different tribe of Bigfoot that has different eye color?
What I have experienced is never glowing. Never glowed. It's almost all werewolf. Yeah, red glowing eyes.
Oh, snap. Okay.
So, like I said, all I would see when it looked at me, while it opened the door, I saw glistening eyes. When it was looking at us through the window, it had glistening eyes. And when it was trying to dig in my nose, it had glistening eyes. There was no red color or glow, anything like that on it. But when my Nolly described it, my paternal grandpa, that's that when he described it, he called it horse face because the Dogman's face and facial features are really huge. It looks like a wolf, yes, but it's almost as big as a horse's face. Even the nostrils. You know, you look on the thingy. You've seen a real dog face or dog man. They will have kind of like a nose of a horse because the nostrils are real big. And yeah, they have canines, yes. All that, but the ears are going to be either plopped to the side or I never seen one that's like, you know, real pretty and the ears are all perking up. No, I haven't seen. They're always like one side or the other is like plopped over, you know, like lazily that the ear is to the side. That's what I've seen. But I never seen them, you know, any other way. They're the ones that have eye glow. because what my grandpa used to relay was, don't go down there at night because Horseface is going to get you, which meant the Dogman.
Over in Sinosti.
No, this is in mini farms.
Oh, looks like we need to go to mini farms. We got another question here. It says, then that Warrior 505 says, so Mr. Caveman, does Bigfoot have like the musky smell during mating season, just like elk and deer?
Me, it's yes and a no. Sometimes it would smell like, you know how people say, it's chicken.
Yeah.
That must a man that has been working and it's sweated. Like, that's the smell. Plus, it will have that orange garlic smell. And it would also have what I call underarm smell. Which kind of like, it's the same as the garlic smell. And also, don't wipe your ass kind of smell, like and, roadkill. Because the roadkill, if they don't really have that one, they haven't eaten yet. They're still hunting. They're trying to steal. Or they're trying to, go to a freebie, like outskirts of town, somewhere that has food. And they would do that. They will smell like black mud, which stinks. They will have that. They have that smell because they've been traveling a lot. And the gnats and the mosquitoes, they want to get away from it. They just try and rub themselves with it. Then they have the sage smell, and they're coming off the mountain. And also, if they just have dirt smell, then that means they've been, trying to go back up and down the wash, trying to hunt or something like it. They lose their smell.
Wow.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's what I noticed.
That's a pretty good answer right there. We have another question here from AZ Lyman 47. When you were going to school at Nehazad, was there sighting around there? Next, are the sighting getting more common compared from when you first started to now?
Shave steroids. So, majority of all the thicket that was there is no longer there. It's just like prison there in the middle, out there, sticking out gray walls and all of that. When I was going there was a lot of thicket.
Oh, jeez. What about you, Darren? You have any questions you want me to relay to Caveman?
Yeah, for the story you're telling with you and your brother being picked up, your younger brother or your older brother being picked up, was he a heavy sleeper, or how would
Just
Oh no. You can't hear him. I'm the only one that can hear you. We can all hear you, but you can't hear Darren. Just only me. Darren asked when the Bigfoot picked up your brother, was he a heavy set guy?
no was he a heavy sleeper? It's kind of
Was he a heavy sleeper? He was saying,
because
was he a heavy sleeper?
because
he was a heavy sleeper. He was just, you know how somebody that acts cool wants to be the heavy sleeper, the heavy everything, and don't want to be bothered. He was like that. And this is the one that we used to sleep outside on one of those military mattresses where you roll them out. And we used to live sleep out there, and then all of a sudden we started to see him laying about maybe 10, 15 feet away from where we both would sleep on the mattress. And he'd be waking up over there, and then he would get mad at me. Hey, why are you dragging me out here? You're just making fun of me. And I said, stop me. I don't bother you. So that happened, more times. And he just, was just getting mad about it. And he thought it was me because I'm the only one that's did. Everybody else slept inside the whole god. And when we both planned and said, hey, let's catch. He's the one. Let's catch the person that's taking me way up there. I said, okay, so how are we going to do it? Well, let's tie a rope onto our leg. I said, and I tied my right, and he tied his left leg way at the ankles. And we went to bed, covered ourselves and just went to bed. And late at night, I was awakened by my leg, going about maybe 30 degrees in the air by the tug of the rope. And it woke me up, and I looked kind of downwards while I was still laying upwards. And this thing was sitting down, it's like squat down. And they had my cousin brother on his lap. And my cousin brother was all sprawled out. I didn't even know that he was being picked. And here I looked at it, and then I moved again to adjust myself to really sit up. This thing just kind of made the same motion as me and just stood up. And I think it's the tug from my our legs tied together. He just let go. That thing just let go of my brother, my cousin brother. My cousin brother just fell to the ground. And he was like, damn, fuck. He said, it just made that sound like you make a slap on hard surface in mini farms. And here, it started to walk off. And my cousin brother just real fast looked at me. And I just pointed to where that thing was walking. It was walking probably maybe 15 feet away by now, within a few seconds. And I just pointed that way, and he looked that way, and he took off, and that's when I took off. I wasn't ready for it. I took off, and we forgot the rope that was tied to our foot, our legs, and we stumbled on it. We fell over, and we tried to take it off, but then it was, we were strained. That we just tried. He got in front of me. I grabbed his shoulder and threw him back, and I took off again. He did that to me, and we were struggling with each other as we made our way towards the door of the Hogan. And we ran inside. We just flipped over, and there was a little itty bitty lock that was on there. It used to go ting. That was our lock. And my brother and my son, a lot more of my brothers and cousins, they were all inside sleeping in the Hogan. And they said, "What's going on?" I said, we saw a monster out there. I said, all right. It's all good. They said that never. Oh, they laughed about it. Honestly, you guys are always making trouble. They said that to us. And then we just said, okay, just We left the mattress and the blanket that was out there. We did that. It was like, damn.
We're running low on time here, and I was wondering, could you share that one story about the Centaur being on the other side of the San Juan River?
They were. There was what? This is coming from my brother, my young, the Centaurian. They seen that on that right by. He seen that right by his house. He seen a white Bigfoot right by his house along the canal, and he said that. So I seen the Centaur, and it's always like on that side, which is there's a river that flows in between us. It's called the San Juan River. I live south on the mesa of that San Juan River, and he lives on the north side, kind of like a step. And he did that, and then they're like, oh, okay, So he was telling me about it. It's like this, and it's like this. Okay, I want to go look for it. And then he says, well, wait, hell no. He says, hell no. I said, why? You being the way you are, you're going to rope it all up and then try to shoe it. He says, just like you shoe your horses. He says, you're going to do that. I know you're going to do that. He says, leave it alone. He says, he got mad at me. And he was saying that, and no, I shouldn't have told you. He says, so that's the thing, people know that I'm not afraid of things that, and I've gone through, I guess, all the trauma and them looking at me and going by them and all of that. I'm just used to it. I guess every time from the start, when somebody says, hey, then I still get scared like that.
Oh.
It still scares me. Then after a while, after I come to my senses, I'm like, whoa, hey, even in my dreams, if I'm having a nightmare, I'm not be like, hey, why am I scared running? Okay, where's the knife? Where's my shotgun? So that's what I do.
Mm.
Even in my nightmares, I'm not scared.
And
if Freddy Krueger comes around, I'm gonna take that hand off. Jason comes around. I'm gonna make sure that he's dead.
Clip his nails.
That's the way
Yeah. 1 second here. I'm gonna ask Darren for one more question here. He looks like he has a question. Go ahead, Darren. Hang on 1 second, Randy.
Yeah. All these experiences that you had in life, out there in that area, I know we talked about how how we'll look back then to how it looks now, just the growth and the expansion. For all the areas, you talk about you guys were picking on the horse face and, the Bigfoot. Are some of these areas covered up by that expansion, or are these areas where this said horse face still out there? And
Darren, I'll do my best to ask that question because it's long as hell.
Yeah.
So Darren's asking if the area is has increased in sightings and all the other cryptid creatures in the Four Corners area. I hope I asked it right. I tried to go.
Yeah. Are these areas
daily or nightly visits. I used to fence around. At the time, I used to live, or me and my wife at the time, we used to find footprints outside our house, handprints on the back of her car, even on the cab of my And myself and my good friend and researcher, her name is Brenda Harris. She would get her encounters towards the east of me, which is up fruit. And I praise her a lot because, she advocates for a lot more lights on around houses. Before we would just have one simple light in the front house. That's it. And here the boogeyman will be looking at us from the south and the north. We're on top of the house. And also, Avery, he comes from Dulce. He's a good, I call him my brother from another mother. It's like that. And he's pretty good on it too. We have all seen an increase in Bigfoot and Bigfoot. What do you call it? Sightings. A lot of people have started to see it, and then also, people all over started. 65% of the Navajo Nation has seen it or have had an encounter with it. And sometimes, when I'm not doing anything, I look on the. Remember those Navajo Rangers?
Yeah.
They see that the only difference between how I tell my story or how I do things, the only difference is they do that with from the fact, from oh really, I want to have it standing right here. I want to do this, how they were taught to investigate, and they do it that way. And times they would not find any evidence or stuff like that. And they've gone into UFOs. When it comes to UFOs, I'm out of there. I'm not going to do anything because they're going to probe me, I say. So I say that. Then for myself, I don't go out really looking for them. I go out to have a good time for myself, not to find a boogeyman. Then they come over. That's the difference. And sometimes, I chase them away. I tell them, in traditional stories, the Yates, giant of the Navajo stories, is used to say, whenever I find you, I'm going to catch you and boil you underground. You probably taste real good like that. I say that when I go outside. If I hear something that's, not good, or I hear a snap or something like that, so I'll find you, I'll catch you. It's like that guy saying, I'll find you, I'll kill you or something like that. But for me, it's I'll find you and I'll boil you underground. I will eat you. I say that, and sure enough, there's no incident from there on. I know they can understand language. All these guys, they know they can understand Navajo language. And I know that they can understand English language. So we're all like that. But there is, yes, an increase. And I say because they have increased, some probably move further south. They may be into Texas and all of that too. Because they have encounters. There's a real orange light going on my side now. So I'm speaking real slow. But anyways, there's they just do. During their increase and all that, I think it's because when that mountain blew up north, I think it's called Mount St. Helens or something like that. When it blew, I believe that that's the reason a lot of it went south. and maybe not just only south, but probably east, because people have had sightings all the way to New York and all of that. So I believe that that's the reason why and all of that. And then also the reason why we see it here on a semi-desert area is they're running in between mountains. There's the Hesperus Peak, there's the Chuska Mountains, and I live, and everybody else lives in between. So I just see it that way. That's my opinion, and that's when we see it, and a lot of it's like that. I've had pictures. If you go on to, like Hostines, I have pictures, all different kinds of pictures that I try to put in there, and check it out.
Definitely. Most definitely. Randy, could you let everyone know where to find you and how to get a hold of you?
Oh, if you guys have food, I'm going to tell you where I live. Um,
Facebook.
on Facebook,
Uh-huh.
and go ahead and friend me. Just tell me who you are, all that. Message me or something like that. Then all of that. I'm on YouTube also, and just observe this. And then on Facebook, I have my own group, Hustine. I just say Hustine and Bigfoot and all of that, but I've been saying Bigfoot lately. Hustine. Hustine means the man or man. Sishtui, the man from the hairy mountain. The man, the hairy man from the mountain. Hustine Sishtui. It's kind of like in which realm. In Navajo, that's what I was told. It's called, because you can't say yeti in the summertime. The old folks used to just whisper it. Yeti,
Wow. Okay.
But they said, and then in other places, they had their own names. These elders, they had their own names for it. And I don't say, oh, mine is correct or anything. And it's all different locations. They have their own names for it.
Yeah.
All that. And this is what I said is just an introduction of what I have encountered, experienced, and all that. I haven't told you about the one we encountered, me and my buddy, while we were hunting. And much more, all of these things. I haven't talked to you, or I haven't said anything about the Yena Toshi.
Yeah.
People have, kind of looked at me twice when I talked about it one time. And I really don't, talk about it. If you get like 1 million subscribers, then I'll tell you guys.
You
And the UF, I don't do. They will probe me. That's why I'm afraid of them.
Yeah, same here. Mr. Randy, our time is almost up here.
I never. But there's a lot of lights. Just like when you guys were here, there's a lot of lights out tonight. I can see it even under the almost full moon. Like,
jeez, take a picture for us. We're running out of time right now. Is there any last words you want to say to the listeners out there?
Hey, listeners, listen. This is a really good thing to say. We don't whistle at night, because the whistle, when it comes, there's usually about 3 or 4 Hustines sitting way back there that are looking at you if you're whistling. Also, when you whistle during the day, you're bringing in the wind, and it's going to wind. It's going to really blow hard. That's what how I've always been taught traditionally. And be careful when you're out there. My advice is have two people go out there. A lot of people have gone out there by themselves thinking they have disappeared. Some people have come back around. You're lucky. Go in twos, maybe threes. Make sure you're well equipped, not just with a knife, not just with a gun. Something to eat. That's the thing. Something to be warm, to stay warm with, and then stuff like that. That's the only thing I would say, and keep on trucking. One of these days, when I bring in one, I'll make sure, Paul, Don, Darren, and the rest of you guys out there. But until then, like I always say, I might be lying to you, I'm probably just lying to you saying these things. But do your research, do your stuff, do the things that you need to do. Because these are monsters that have never been proven. So
yeah.
Be careful. They will not want you to be around. They will have their own lives to lead. It's like me getting Don where he's asleep with his wife, and then drag him out of bed, handcuff him, and throw him in my car, and then just put him in the zoo. It's like that. And then people are going to wonder what's Don Yazzie doing in the zoo. He looks like a Bigfoot, something like that. So I see it that way. I respect it also. And then
September.
Also,
Oh yeah. We're running low on time, Randy. Just real quick here. September 26th, September 27th, I'm sorry. Randy's gonna be coming back for part 2. Randy, we're gonna be ending in like about 2 minutes. You wanna say laters to everybody?
Yes. Thank you for listening to me. I respect you all. You guys, good evening. You guys have the questions you probably didn't get answered, or you had all of these things. I didn't mean to maybe scare you or anything. I'm not discouraging.
No.
Find out for yourself if you want to. Take somebody with you. Don't be by yourself thinking that you're going to be out there, trying to prove it and looking around like Elmer Fudd trying to be by yourself.
Yeah.
And also, like I said, this is only an introduction. The way I see it, this is only an introduction. I told Avery, I told Brenda, and all of that. And I will be on other podcasts. Hopefully, right now we don't have that much of a or that good of a reception, so I guess we had to do it this way. Thank you for listening to me.
Shashina, yeah. Thank you for your time. All right, Darren, you want to say laters?